Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a titanium grade 5 diver launched for the 2020 model year. This was an August 2020 launch from Ming. It is the 18.01 H41 diver. This was the follow-up to the prior year's Abyss concept watch. Ming's first dive watch, the grade 5 tie, feather light, highly scratch resistant, and hypoallergenic. It's nicely sized at 40 millimeters in diameter. As I measure it, 13.1 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, a wonderfully compact 46.4 millimeters with a universal and versatile 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to pop open the clasp, and I'm going to throw it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. The watch is very light. Being all sapphire and titanium, it floats on the wrist, and the lugs being very short from side to side with no solid end links to the bracelet, it fits true to its rated lug-to-lug size. Now, while it's not super thin, 13.1 with a generously sloped domed bezel means it will slide underneath the cuff quite well. I'm going to recommend this featherweight watch for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, which means our ladies can get in on the action. Taking a look at the bracelet, it's got a little bit of a calculated vintage look to it. They could have added a conforming end link, but instead they went with something approaching the straight bar design of a 60s diver. Now, it's not a straight bar straight up because they wanted to drill the lugs close to the case, so they had to include this little curvature so that you could move the bracelet without any impediment to its motion and still have the lugs drilled close to the case for a better fit on a smaller wrist. We have here a 5-link design with polished outer faces, removable links, and there are many of them, are fixed in place using screws, and then across the top you can see that the links are satinated with a sort of splayed V alignment from the center out. We have many individual links, so you will find the right size. We have a double deployant clasp. You can see it's a sequential close, one side before the other, and then it is a twin trigger release with the triggers in high polish so you can easily see them. The case is beautifully executed with a dramatic dip to the case band within the hollows of the lugs and profile. These lugs remind me, among other things, of vintage Vacheron timepieces, as well as modern-day Grubel 4C cases. There's a definite concave and flare, leading out to a lug hood that is satinated to contrast with the polish of the case band. We have a satinated, matching dive-style bezel. You can see it's been DLC blackened. It's probably ADLC, amorphous diamond-like carbon, and a very scratch-resistant material that preserves the underlying metallic grain. We have a crown that is inverse conical, that is narrower inboard, wider outboard. You can see it's Ming branded with a combination of satin and polish for contrast, and also sharply knurled so you can grip it easy. It's a vintage-style, no crown guard, so no problem gaining access to the crown. You can see that there's a little colored gasket internally, so it's easier to see when the crown is not screwed in. Technically speaking, it is a dive watch. It's an ISO 6425 compliant diver. It is 1,000 meters water resistant, does not brag about it on the dial, a design feature that I happen to love. You could see that Ming used a lovely gloss black center surrounded by a sapphire track, including a lovely chaptering with sectors, and on top of that, luminescent material has been deposited. You can see that the hands have a wonderful polished profile, with the exception of their luminescent expanses. Taking a quick look in the dark, you can see this watch is full of surprise and delight features, including a fully luminescent 60-click unidirectional rotating dive bezel. I should also mention all 3 hands are luminescent, something I consider critical on a diver. You need to know if your dive watch is still running in the dark or in the depths. Every dive watch should have it. Not every dive watch does, so big points to Ming. Flipping the watch over, you can see on the reverse side, you learn a little bit about it. You can see that it is a very deep diving watch, and they did their best to calculate the actual equivalency between 1 kilometer or 1,000 meters and feet. They note it's adjusted in 5 positions with the adjustment done by their manufacturing partner, Schwarz-Etienne. This is a little sea creature. We got a crab there. It notes that this is titanium grade 5. Quick note about titanium grade 5. It is lighter than steel, it is hypoallergenic, and unlike grade 2, it is also more scratch resistant than than steel. You can see that the crystal is 3.5 millimeters thick. It creates a lovely thick crystal distortion, and Ming really scored by keeping this dial bereft of a date. While I often like the utility of a date, when the aesthetic result is this good, I cannot disagree. Flipping the watch back over again, you can see that there's a center disc of a material that aggresses against the skin to hold the watch put when it's on the wrist, and then you can see that there is a quick release system for the bracelet. And this is important to note because a lot of quick release bracelets are proprietary systems where the case and the bracelet only work together, and you're locked into using a factory strap or a factory bracelet as a result. Whereas here we have a conventional lug spacing of 20 millimeters. You can use any 20 millimeter strap, but you still get a bracelet with a quick release function. They just house the quick release in the bracelet rather than building it structurally into the case, which is something that I absolutely love to see. And the watch does come with a secondary accessory strap so you can accessorize. The watch is powered internally by an ETA 28242, which is a tank-tough tractor movement assembled and adjusted in 5 positions, which is the high horology and chronometer standard by Schwarz-Etienne. It is a bidirectional automatic winder with 38 to 40 hours of power reserve. It has a stop seconds or hacking function. It beats away at 4 hertz or 8 beats per second, and it pivots on 25 joules. The watch rated to 1,000 meters, but as an ISO-compliant diver, it is tested 25% beyond that just to be sure. This watch is full of tricks. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And one final detail before departure, you may ask, how is the bezel action? It's wonderfully refined. A good dive bezel can make a diver just as a bad bezel can break a diver. This makes the experience. Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com.